It's time to check your money with America's Money Maven, Vicki Brackens. Vicki Brackens is the president of Brackens Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and a registered representative of LPL Financial, member SIPC. Vicki, we got a
George,
special guest
can you
in the
believe it?
building. Listen,
Well,
history made in Syracuse, New York on December 4th, Tuesday night. Sharon Owens, Mayor-elect Sharon Owens in a landslide, wasn't even close. She didn't have to look behind her back. Victory on election day, part of a nationwide Democratic sweep. First of all, we are so excited for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And
Thank
all
you.
of that.
I
George,
let all the pundits go through all the numbers and stuff, but they are telling me that was the largest percentage victory. I think they're going all the way back to like Lee Alexander.
Wow.
wow. Okay.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. Right. Names that probably half the people who are listening to us today don't even know when we go back to Lee Alexander. Okay. But I tell you what, George, and it's amazing. First of all, Mayor-elect Owens, thank you very much for taking the time out of what I know has been a very, very busy day to join us, okay, here. But everybody wants to congratulate you, and you should soak it in because you're going to need to make sure that you always have extra for those times in the
I'm gonna need the reserves.
Exactly. All right. But George, it's funny, okay, when you say, I noticed when we looked at the numbers that your margin of victory for the primary actually increased coming into the general, which is also very unusual. You always want to have a tailwind behind you so that you can carry you through, but you actually increased your lead, and that really is a testament.
With one more opposing candidate.
Exactly, with one more opposing candidate. Okay, so that is an amazing feat. We want to make sure that we don't discount that. We make sure that we pin that into the record books. But we have lots of things, George, I know that we want to cover tonight, and focus more so. But I have a couple of things we're going to say on a personal basis, but focus more so on the economics. You got something first?
I do. I want to know how you feel, Mayor-elect.
There you go.
I feel wow. Not being able to even tell you how I feel should tell you how I feel. It's more fulfilling for me not to hear kind of think on how I feel, but it's really reassuring for me, and gives me warm and fuzzies when I hear how other people feel. How other people. You guys know Dr. Johanna Rogers. We were
Yes.
having a conversation, and the morning of election night, and she said, I remember a year previous when Kamala Harris lost, that you were trying to talk me out of bed. After the second day, I was like, daughter, it's time to get up. We still got work to do. And she said, today, a year later, it's a whole different feel. What's about to happen in this community. And then I just called her before we got on with you because I got a call at like 3:30 from Kamala Harris.
Really?
No
I sure did.
way.
I sure did.
That is
It said private, and I was like, okay, who is this? And I said, hello, this is Sharon. And I heard that voice. This is
Wow.
Kamala Harris. And
Wow.
I said, oh my goodness. I was like a groupie.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, that is amazing in itself. Okay, I don't even know what to say. Okay, other than okay, I've noticed with all the news trending because I was a little upset initially when the news first came out that because I'm from Syracuse and I want Syracuse to be at the top of the page, right? Don't talk to me about New York and Albany. I want Syracuse to be at the
Right,
top
right,
of the
right.
page.
Right.
But finally, okay, to really see, as George was saying, as far as the sweep, but
Yeah.
also the historic moment that this is,
Yeah, I want
and
to,
to
yeah.
look back as you're right, okay, because it was this time last year we were trying to get each other up off the floor,
Yeah.
okay,
Yes.
not knowing exactly where we were going to turn. And I thank you for making sure that we had not only a victory, but a victory that we can look back on that was about integrity,
Yes.
that it was about principle,
That's
that it
right.
was and run in a way that we can all be proud of.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you,
So,
Vicki.
Yeah, from Fayette Street to the Palladium. Come on now. One
I
more
was going
quick
to say
thing,
from
Vicki.
Geneva to the
Well, that's
Palladium, but
true.
that's okay.
True that.
Right.
One more quick thing, Vicki,
Yeah.
and then you got it. The historic nature of being the first in the history of the city of Syracuse. I know that that's in the background, but now it's front and center. Um, and what that meant to the people gathered at your victory party, and you feeding off the love, the embrace of you and Ben Walsh. I thought that was very special, very emotional. I thought,
Really.
and all of that, the historic nature and what that means to you.
The first thing, and I said it at the end of the speech, was really paying homage to the elders in our community, the people who have lived 70, 80, 90 years on this earth in this community, who have um, looked for this moment. I remember I was at Dunbar, one of the elders in there said that, yeah, this today is feeling like we felt with Barack Obama. And
Mm-hmm.
so just paying homage to them in one moment, really recognizing I'm here, with my mom in the back of my mind saying, remember, every time you're doing something, you're just not representing you. You're representing all of us, right? And so that's why what you said really means a lot to me, Vicki, despite all of the stuff that came at me. I was determined to stick to the policy, stick to the things that were important to the people of Syracuse, to keep it classy, to keep my character and my integrity intact. And I tried my best to do that. And so just to pay homage to all of those folks, legacy of the 15th Ward. I mean, just so many people who
Mm-hmm.
this day, and many people just, even when I started off, was like, Syracuse will never do this. Syracuse will never do this. Because when you just don't see it, you just can't, you can't believe it. But then as I won the primary in the fashion I won the primary in, and one thing about our elders, not only did they want to see how I won, but they were looking at how I was conducting myself.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And when they saw that, it really became real to people. And on the flip side, once I finished the speech and I walked down to mingle through the crowd, then I'm approached by young woman after young woman. So I'm getting both sides of that generational impact. Young women in their 20s and 30s just embracing me and saying, can I get a selfie? You don't know how much this means to us. Just to see that what is possible with faith and understanding and work, hard work is possible.
Okay. Well, to go from possibility to execution, and that is
Mhm.
Right.
really some of the things that we always miss, is that we have possibility many times the execution has not
Right.
made its way, but we broke through that. We don't know if we would call it glass ceiling or ceiling, what, but the execution is
Mm.
what's critically important. And as you said, while I was there last night, watching just the generational convergence. Okay, because on the left side, because we all had to sit down, we're all of us sitting down at the tables.
Oh, the
On the
left
right
side, y'all sitting
side,
down, and the right side.
the right side was
Oh,
finger popping and ready. We
you
had
know
our
what?
head
I
dances going
noticed
on.
that. See, I didn't know what that was. I noticed that.
George, you got to get with the program, okay?
Listen, no, I listen. I see, but now I get the what you. I visually can see what you are explaining now.
All right. But one of the things as far as, and I have a special question for you at the end, but
Mhm.
I wanted to make sure that we spend extra time, if possible,
Mhm.
really talking about the economic snapshot and what's going on in Syracuse on an economic basis.
Mhm.
And some of the big picture items are, first of all, many people may not know that the GDP of this area is over $51 billion.
Mm.
And that's as of 2023. We haven't seen the 2024 numbers yet.
Mhm.
But that was up about, I don't know, $2.5 billion, because it was like 49 billion back in 2022. We've got an
Mhm.
unemployment rate that's 3.9% as of August. We've got household income that is somewhere around $45,000. That's an area where we need to have some conversation.
We have to.
But okay, one of the things that we don't realize is that the power of the economy is going to drive everything across the board from the south side to the north side, west and east. Everything is going to be about the power of the economy. And our economy really is focused right now a lot on sales tax,
Mm-hmm.
a lot on state aid, and property tax levies. And so those areas, and I know you got about 30 minutes of sleep last night and realize I'm going to be in charge. Okay, those areas. Where do you think we need to focus and what do you see coming down the pike?
So let's start with the property tax levy. About 47/48% of us bear the overall tax burden of 100% of the need to fund a city,
Yeah.
correct? Um, so we have to protect that tax base. Um, just like many other cities, we're an eds and meds community. We have, my sister over in Albany. She has it worse than me because she houses the entire government structure of New York State in Albany, and all of those buildings are tax free, all of them.
Whoa.
And so here in Syracuse, we have, and Vic, more than any, the huge not-for-profits in our community are major economic drivers. So I
Yes.
am not anti-upstate. I am not anti-SU. I'm not anti any of those institutions because they're major economic drivers, but they pay no taxes. And so being able to ensure that we protect the tax base, and not allow any further erosion of taxable property to non-taxable property.
Okay.
We think of those big entities as the major ones, but we have churches all over Syracuse that own property that is not taxed.
Mm.
And so one of my initiatives I was talking to the governor's office about, because they have a division of interfaith something or other they have, but people don't know about it. And so I really want to really build a coalition of these churches that have all of this property to get the technical assistance so that the building you own that you can't develop, how can I get you connected? So, because we have a housing problem. You have 20 units in there that we can put people in. So really, really protecting that tax base and growing that tax base. So the housing that we're going to build and we're building now, it is amazing. I mean, the Lafayette Golf Course is going to be a new neighborhood, 250 units of townhomes and single family homes. And this is up past Nob Hill. And
Right.
so this is not going to be tax exempt property. The tax base is going to increase the property tax base by 250 units. Um, SDC, we're going to be developing, there's going to be a couple of the low income housing tax credit initiatives, but the rest of that is going to be taxable tax base. So we need to continue to grow that tax base.
You mean the Syracuse Development Center over on the west side? That
On the
one?
west side in the Tip Hill
Right. Okay.
neighborhood.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes, yes.
All right.
Um, so that's the tax base. Can you go over the other two again for me?
The others was sales tax and state aid.
So
Sales
sales
tax.
tax,
Yeah.
yeah, sales tax is as we all know is collected and governed by the county. We entered into a sales tax agreement that the city received 10% of the taxes, the sales tax generated in all of Onondaga went to Syracuse, to the city of Syracuse. That agreement expires in 2030. It's a 10-year agreement. Um, so we'll continue. The interesting thing is that, like for example, all of us who buy stuff on Amazon,
Right.
the city doesn't benefit from that sales in the form of taxes.
Oh,
So
really?
online, yeah, we just were able to get approval from New York State to assess fees onto hotels, so that we can get a hotel fee that is assessed to and given to the city of Syracuse. Um, and not only hotels, but Airbnbs. There are 400 Airbnbs just downtown alone.
Really?
And so I have
Really?
so
Yeah.
yeah, so I have a friend who has an Airbnb, works for the city. So we're having this conversation. He said, "Don't touch my Airbnb." I said, you can keep your Airbnb. I need to know where you are, and you need to pay the city of Syracuse a fee. And so that's what we're going to do. I mean, we are, what many cities find is that all of these entities still need services. There's only one police department in Syracuse. That's SPD. We have to pay for that. There's only
Right.
one fire department in the city of Syracuse, one water department, one Department of Public Works. All of those services, when those water main go down, the city is fixing that. Whether you are the smallest church or upstate medical center, if it's in the right of way, we're doing that, and many of times that is for tax exempt entities. So the sales tax, the account that bit, oh my goodness, that number you threw out there, people listen to that, and they're shocked. It's like they're shocked about that economic driving, but that is real. The problem, Vicki, is that people don't feel it in their pocket, in their purses.
Yes. Okay. All right.
That is the dilemma.
All right.
And that is the change that needs to happen.
And so that being, we're going to put a pin in that so
Yep.
that when we come back, and I hope we can count on having a sit down with you at least once a quarter or once every 6 or 8 weeks.
Sure.
So we can put a pin in it and say, okay, we discussed this and here's where this has moved. You're right. That $51 billion is a huge number. It's a choker of a number.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not feeling it in your pockets, except in small segments within the community itself. And what has happened over the last 8 years under the Walsh and Owens administration, as far as the incredible growth downtown.
Yes.
We need to now, what's the plan to spread that out?
So we have what we call the Resurgent Neighborhood Initiative, which I will continue. And I always have called, and people don't like to hear this, but it is the truth. Any city, and our city is the same, downtown has to be the beating heart. If you don't have a thriving downtown, you do not have a thriving city. And so downtown is the beating heart. But what has to be strengthened and survive are those arteries, those commercial corridor neighborhood, Genesee East and West, South Salina North and South, Butternut, all of those, the Genesee Fayette, all of those streets that just cross section across our city. Those are the arteries, Onondaga Street, feeding the lifeblood into and out of downtown. And those have to be strengthened. The Downtown Revitalization Initiative that we applied for from New York State, we received $10 million. So $10 million is being infused into Onondaga Avenue, turning the corner on South Avenue to redevelop that area. So as you look at the historic, the rescue mission is building a new facility on their campus. You could come down. There are a couple of historic restorative projects that are going to be rebuilt. We're rebuilding infrastructure down that way, turning on the South Ave, putting a couple $1 million into the Southwest Community Center. There are a couple spotted businesses on South Avenue that we're going to be investing that money in. And so we continuously apply for these. It's called the Downtown Revitalization Initiative because many smaller communities, their downtown is city center. But for us, we started applying for those arteries outside of downtown, coming out of downtown. I mean, when people talk about South Salina Street and it sometimes we're used to the same narrative. Oh my goodness, sorry. Sometimes we're used to the same narrative, but the fact of the matter is that you head out of downtown past the bus hub, you got the STEAM school there. We're talking about the work being done down with JMA that is expanding. We're getting ready to finally get Salina First off going. Center State just purchased the Sears building. I mean, it just keeps going down there. And so we're looking at
got Syracuse Community Health Center.
Yes, and multi-million-dollar initiative.
Right.
Okay. Yes. And so that whole premise of a strong downtown, but strengthening those commercial neighborhood corridors is critical.
So looking at the strengthening of those corridors and the fact that we're pushing now resources further out from the city as a support system, much of that activity is around construction.
Yes.
Okay, construction and the trades relative to construction. What can citizens in those neighborhoods do better to make sure that they avail themselves of those opportunities?
So they should absolutely be. We just hired Dr. Carlene Lacey. We received $80 million for the on-ramp initiative. Syracuse is the flagship organization for that. Syracuse, Buffalo, and Rochester, but they chose Syracuse because of Micron as the flagship. We hired Dr. Carlene Lacey to initiate training in the field, this field that Micron is generating here in light manufacturing and technology. To get in touch with her, she's at Center State CEO. OCC, George and Vicki, has a state-of-the-art clean room that simulates what is going to happen at Micron. The previous class that they had not one city individual in it and not one person of color. And I don't blame OCC for that. We have to get our folks, young and old, understanding that the opportunities are there. We have to move and get there and take advantage of these opportunities. Syracuse Building Pathways was an excellent example of looking at the highway and not just looking at it as a physical hindrance and winning the battle to take it down. But Deca Danzo and the folks from Urban Jobs Task Force said, wait a minute. We need to reverse what happened in that community when that highway went up. And what is the economic impact going to be for people who live in that footprint in the zip codes in Syracuse? So that's how Syracuse Built was initiated. And we're on our 12th chord and we're sending people through the trades. So the one thing we really changed is that the trades, it was a PLA, a public labor agreement. And so we brought the trades in, train the individuals so you don't feel like we're bringing people to you that you don't know. You just train these people. You just train these folks. And we're getting these folks on these highway projects. The testament to that for me is, yes, we find the data and there's a dashboard, but when a young man comes up to us and said for the first time in his life, and he's 30 years old, he could take his family on vacation. That is what working and living is about in Syracuse. It's earning a living, but it's changing the quality of your life. That living in impoverished in a state of poverty is not normal. It is having income to pay your bills, but having flexible income too. That's living wage work.
Well, I noticed it's amazing that you would get into the changes that living wage work makes, and looking at some of the statistics concerning the city, that the poverty rates we've talked about before, and the fact that we are still, and it's a testament to your fiscal management, that we're still rated as a stable under Moody's, an A1 stable category, an A plus with Fitch as far as stability is concerned, and an A plus stable with S&P, which means if we can just move the needle 2 or 3 more degrees to get people above or a greater percentage above the current poverty statistics that we have, life. And I remember when I moved here, I don't know if I'm gonna say it, it's been almost 40 years when GE and all those other manufacturing, and they're not, I'm not saying we need to return to that, but that spirit of actual economic energy.
Those companies created a middle class in this community.
That is correct.
And particularly of color.
Yeah.
That is correct. Okay.
Because you said 40 years, you got here about the same time I got here. So
I sure did. Okay. We just never crossed paths in the early years. Okay.
And we just, those jobs went away and there was no plan of transition. And that is what I'm just determined that we cannot do again when we have this moment in Syracuse where we have really life-changing, industry-changing. Now, we may not be the show me state, but we're sure to show me people. So people just are like, until I see a shovel in the ground, I don't believe Micron is there. And I have a brother, he used to work, he retired from the Marshall line, and he was in the booth, managing all the trains, engineer, managing all the trains. And I have a nephew who's an electrician, and I'm saying to them, you need to come back home. But people are still just like, Syracuse, you're going to miss the train. You're gonna miss the
How
train.
many weeks have I been talking about the train,
Yes,
George?
that's why
Oh,
I'm laughing.
really?
Vicki has been on that. Get on the train. Get
Get on
on
the
it.
train, you're gonna miss it. And then it's gonna be down the road and you're gonna be saying, oh, they forgot about me. No, you missed the scheduled departure.
Mm.
And
Yes.
that departure schedule is now getting in that clean room with OCC and getting three of those individuals were taken over to Boise, Idaho to learn from that factory, being paid internship.
Wow.
We can't mess this up.
All right. So and I know that Dr. Braggs, I think it is, okay,
Mm.
Reginald Braggs has been pounding the pavement along with, I had some conversations with Osha Keaton, okay, over in
Mm-hmm.
ESD,
Yes.
okay, to try
She's
to
with
get
ESD
everybody
now.
to hear this
Yes.
message. But I was thinking, hey, about something you said earlier, George, about how everything looked last night, and
Yes.
some people describing it as feeling like it was when President Obama was taking on his victory speech. The thing that I remember also during the time period of the Obama administration was that picture of the little boy in the Oval Office
Oh, with his
asking
hand.
him
His
to
hand on
hold
his
his
head.
head down so he could touch and see, are you really like me? And that's
Right.
what those young people were doing to you last night,
That
Deputy
was it.
Mayor. Okay, it
That was
was
it. That
you
was it.
are, this is a real thing. So
Yeah.
for everybody who's listening this morning, hear the message. Micron and the economic growth, what's happening in I-81, and not just Micron, because there are going to be filtering organizations that feed
Absolutely.
into all of the back end of what it's going to take to make this a thriving community. You must drop the cynicism.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm not saying there have not been slights and all of those types, but drop the cynicism and step into the opportunity right now. Because if you look around yourself, look around the things that are happening in this community, we will look back 10 years from now and go, oh my God, the head of the largest organization for philanthropic giving in this area was Melanie Littlejohn, a black woman.
Mm.
Right.
Come on.
Okay.
Keep
The
going,
head of the
Vicki.
largest organization, second largest one, the Gifford Foundation, Sheena Solomon. Okay.
A
The
black woman.
mayor of Syracuse,
Mm.
okay, Mayor Sharon Owens. The head of what Tim Penix. I'm trying to think what Tim's title is actually.
SUNY Educational
Student
Opportunity Center.
Education. The head of
Hmm.
OCC.
OCC.
Okay. God has
And
put this
and
in the
who
way I
knows going to
believe it.
be the next chancellor of SU? We don't know yet.
We don't know yet.
Exactly. Okay. So for all those people who we met over the summer, and I said, come back to Syracuse, because I know this filters out. This is not a pipe dream. We
Right.
need your capacity. We need your talent and skills also to come back to Syracuse.
Right.
But Deputy Mayor, I have
Hmm.
a sort of like a
Well,
saying.
excuse me,
Yeah.
Vicki.
Oh, Deputy. Sorry, Mayor-elect Owens. Thank you, Marilyn Owens. I want you to please tell everybody what the Syracuse secret sauce is.
Mm.
What the Syracuse secret sauce
We're
is.
gonna work on this. What the Syracuse secret sauce?
The Syracuse secret sauce, first of all, is the resiliency of its people.
I knew you were gonna say
Hands down.
that.
Hands down. Hands down. I call it this. I call it the Syracuse swag. We make things happen and make it work. And I'm just in this position and in this place right now where I just am confident. Confident. I was just in the room. You guys talking about philanthropy. I was just at Community Foundation because in 2 weeks I'm going to conference for the Federal Bank of New York because they're looking to do social investments, really economic investments for social justice. And what I was talking about in there, because the both of you would clearly catch on to this, I was saying to them as we look at cash is always the problem for smaller or BIPOC
Capital.
Yeah,
companies.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so really being able to set up a mechanism where we can guarantee the chance that finance takes on smaller businesses. But I started talking about the fact that who owns the land owns everything. And so we have been the victims of speculation
Mm-hmm.
for decades. It's about to take off. And so what I was emphasizing in that room is we need a mechanism where we have funding that we can, so for the city to acquire and to get control over property, it has to be tax delinquent for 2 years, 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Many of the properties in certain neighborhoods, particularly on the north side, they're landlocked because all you have to do is write a $500 check as an LLC for a year because that's the taxes. The taxes are so low. Um, we have to begin to proactively purchase these properties. Now, may it cost us more in the front end, but it's going to be worth the investment in the long end to proactively get control of swaths of community property so that we can determine what is going to happen with them instead of speculators who are on whatever site, Zillow or wherever, just buying property sight unseen in this community.
Yes, they are. Okay.
Sight unseen.
Okay. So you're saying that the Syracuse secret sauce is our resilience?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well,
Absolutely.
we're going to start. I'm asking also our listeners to send in what you think the Syracuse secret sauce is. We're gonna build us a little list here. Okay. Okay.
What makes us special?
This is the Syracuse secret sauce. What makes us special? Okay. So
One
of the George, before I ask this last question.
I don't want you to go to the last questions because I got 4 more.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. So mayor-elect, I'm doing it too. The question is, will you have a deputy mayor?
Yes, I feel kind of strange being a deputy mayor and then saying I don't need a deputy mayor. That doesn't seem right to me.
Right.
And so I know that Ben Walsh and I were able to gel together because I had the community housing background, and he's an economic genius.
Mm-hmm.
I need to, one of the strengths I've had in my career is knowing where I need help and knowing where I need support. And so I need that economic and finance understanding and development expertise right on my hip. I don't want it to be 2 departments down the org chart. I need it right there because as we are building the city and cranes continue to go up, I also have the influence of making sure that the equity piece of that is very much understood, that is a priority for me. I was talking to someone from Center State, and we were talking about coming back together, the forum that we were at. Right. And he brought up the fact that he was headed out of town, but people were still calling about that forum, and now really because of what Micron and everything else that folks are taking a look at Syracuse again. And I said to him, yes, absolutely, let's bring that brain power. We had met, I think Vicki, you were with me, met a couple people that own hotel chains, and I was like, come on in town. But I want to do it in a way that pairs them with the people who are here. So that expertise is shared, and that knowledge of finance packages and how you actually are able to put the deal together. My good friend Walt Dixie is doing a housing project over on South Avenue. Well, let's go back. He was saying, I'm going to run a grocery store. I said, man, you don't know how to run a grocery store. Get a partner. And so now with this housing initiative, he went to New York City and he has a partner. So the best thing about it is that the partner is going to come and build this housing, but they're also teaching Walt and his team what they need to do in order to do a project of this size.
Yeah, and that question, by the way, I'm going to credit my daughter. She says, well, will there be a deputy mayor? I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask the mayor-elect.
So yes, there will be a deputy mayor. Just something feels wrong in my gut. You know what? Now that you're not the deputy mayor, you don't need one.
Right. Okay.
We talked, Vicki, it's actually 5 questions. I'm sorry. We talked.
I got 3, so you just had to drink some water, okay?
and we thank the mayor-elect for her graciousness. And that's the next question I have, because everybody knows you, and you hugged every single person and took a picture. You really did. And
I did. I tried.
And the fact of the matter is, and every single person you had a connection with, for the most part.
Yeah.
That you are accessible. People know who you are, and all of those things.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna be able to continue to do that if you're gonna be mayor. So, but I will say this. The other thing I liked, I'm gonna also Vicki says, George, ask the question. I loved that you were you when the victory song "Ain't No Stopping Us Now" came out, and you came out. I think in that moment you was like, "This is me in my moment," and I ain't thinking about I'm the deputy mayor, Mayor Lee. I ain't thinking about none of that. Right, right.
All I can be is the mayor I'm going to be. I
Yeah.
cannot be the mayor that was two mayors, three mayors, four mayors
Okay.
before
Right.
me. All that will always be in the back of my head is my mother and our elders represent appropriately.
Okay.
But I just was, listen, ain't no stopping us now. That was the theme song. Come on.
Thank you.
Listen, listen. I that was the moment. So having said that,
Mhm.
how can you have to prepare the community that the access is going to be a little different
Yeah.
because in order for you to serve the people, there has to be some. So would you just speak to that because I think that's important.
So this actually had to happen when I became deputy mayor. I used to be on Facebook. I've been on Facebook. I've been off Facebook probably since the moment I got, not long after I got in office as
On a
deputy mayor.
personal matter, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because it was my personal Facebook page, and people would say they have an issue and they would DM me and all of that. And I would post on the Facebook page, here is my city number and here is the email. Not trying to avoid you, but I need you to go through the route I need you to go through. And people couldn't do it. And so I had to just, it was probably the best decision I've ever made, not just because of that, but just Facebook is just too much.
Right.
Um, and but what I think what I know my plan is, the safety net care for individuals in Syracuse are really at the helm of Onondaga County.
Mm-hmm.
Department of Social Services, Aging and Youth, Child Protective, Juvenile Justice, the Probation Department.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but people call the mayor.
Yeah.
They call City Hall.
Yeah, I do.
And most of the time, we're directing them to the appropriate not-for-profit
We
or government entity, even the school district. But what we don't have is a triage team. So I'm going back now to, my social work stuff, is
right.
really be able to bring, and I'm hoping that that will make people feel like they still have the attention when they call. I get calls constantly because people are like, Sharon, I know if I call you, you at least I'm gonna get to you and you're gonna find out or send me to the right person.
Right.
I need a team to do that because I'm not going to be able to do that.
Right. Right. And that's
Not on the base, not on the in the regularity that people would want.
right. Right. Thank you for that.
But
I'm almost
yeah,
there.
and I think it's really important that, thanks, George, for bringing that up, because if you didn't, I was going to, that it's not that you have changed,
Mm-mm.
but the role dictates a certain level of
Right,
distance in
Right.
right,
order to
right,
oversee.
right.
It's a different role, okay, at
Right.
I
this
went
point in
through
time.
that in 2020 with the murder of George Floyd.
Mm.
And 30 years I have been working in the community. And then the murder of George Floyd, I'm overseeing the police department, and people had their opinions, strong ones, and ones that they were expressing on a regular basis. And then all of a sudden, people stopped calling, or the relationship changed, and it was almost like, because you're in government now we can't trust you. I, I haven't changed. I'm the same person I was. And
Mm-hmm.
quite frankly, you should be thankful that I'm in city government
Right.
influencing what was going on at that time.
Right. You'll have some decisions. You'll have a new police chief. You'll have all of those things.
Yeah.
Transition team coming up.
Yeah.
Uh, to economics. Syracuse University, some years ago had I believe it was a compact where they uh paid the
Yeah.
city X amount of dollars. I think at the time, 30 years ago, it was $225,000. I don't know what the fund
Yeah.
is. That
It's
still
$2.5 million now.
$2.5 million.
Yeah.
Uh,
That expires in June of next year.
will there be a renegotiation of
So
that?
I was in the office 3 days ago, in the chancellor's office, saying that we would love to be able to come to an agreement with you before the new chancellor comes in, because you never know. And the decision is really not the chancellor's, it's the board of trustees.
Right, right.
Because
And
if you think about it, there's no other entity other than SU that's actually doing something like that.
and just for 30 seconds of the history of that. I was there in City Hall when that agreement was made because Syracuse wanted to close off University Avenue, College Place, and all
you
the
used to be
streets
able to drive all the way
all
through.
the way through.
Yep.
And it's so funny because Cornell is very different, and you know it's all traffic all the way through the campus. But Syracuse, because of that, and then they agreed to pay the city so much money every year for that access, and that now you see what's. So thank you for that. So 2.5 million. How much you want now?
Oh, George, don't do that. No.
Vicki said,
no. Don't
Thank you, Vicki.
Thank you,
Vicki.
All right.
People watch your show, George. I don't need to get in trouble.
I know that's right. Listen, the other thing that I want to ask you about, and then I'll yield my time because, well, I'll just say this: I was driving up State Street and I loved seeing the new housing on State Street going towards that.
3 of them have buyers.
They have buyers already?
3 of them have buyers.
Nice. And so I wanted to just acknowledge that, there are so many pockets. We hear all the things, but, I hadn't seen those houses. So I was like, okay. I mean, y'all said, well, you don't go down that way. I don't go down that particular part of it. Okay. Don't trip on me. But you may have a very different legislature. Ryan McMahon is still the county executive, obviously, but the dynamics of the relationship between him and the county resident and now the city may change. What do you make of the flip of the, if it holds up, the flip of the legislature yesterday, and what that means for the city?
First we knew we had been seeing trending county getting more blue. We did not see 5 out of 6 seats going blue last night. And so now it's the process of, I have a good relationship with Ryan McMahon.
Sure.
And we've been down the road of the city and the county and the state not getting along type of thing. We was, suffering by 1,000 cuts, going through that. So we don't have time for that. So I get along with him. I was at not Celebrators, but I was at one of the clubs, social clubs events out at the Inner Harbor in the amphitheater, and I'm sitting there with Sean.
Good time gang.
Only one thing, only one thing that we got to do together the whole campaign. So we're sitting there enjoying the summer night, and I'm just looking out at the Inner Harbor.
Right.
And just like the potential of this location is mind-boggling. I had the opportunity at Van Robinson's dedication at the fair, happened to sit next to the county executive, and I was sharing that story, and he turned around and said, "It's incredible." So there are commonalities of what we need to be able to do to move the city along because the city is in the county. I hope that they also provide homeless shelter money and other support funding. They were awarded the poverty initiative of money from the state. And so I'm hoping that even more can come the city's way from additional people who are very pro-city. I mean, you have to have a strong city in your county and region. And so we're growing stronger, and I want us to continue to grow stronger. But I have a good relationship with them.
We're talking about some of the things that have to be renegotiated. We've got ARPA that's getting ready to sunset.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned before savvy financial planning.
Yes.
The ARPA allocation was, the purpose for it was to combat the residual effects, particularly economic, of the pandemic.
Correct.
And so we could have early on taken $123 million and just put it in the fund balance. That was something we could have done. But what we wanted to do was use the money to address needed infrastructure and housing and all of that you just don't come up, $123 million just doesn't fall out of the sky. So how do we take advantage of that? But we were strategically placing that money into the fund balance to avoid that sunset in 26 so that the federal government couldn't come back and claw it back. So that money is and I should know right off the top of my head, but I don't, Vicki, is sitting in the fund balance of the city of Syracuse, which
Okay, so
now sits at $100 million.
at 100 million, yes. Okay, and
Explain
that's also
ARPA
amazing.
for people that don't know.
The American ARPA,
Rescue.
American Rescue.
And
Oh my goodness.
recovery, American Rescue and Recovery Funding or something like that.
Yes,
It was the
okay.
COVID
Yeah,
money. That's
It
what
was
I
the
it was.
COVID
Yeah, it
money.
was the
Okay.
COVID money. Yeah,
make it long story short.
right, right.
Right.
It was the COVID money.
Okay. So the the thing, it's really funny. You know, what's the comedian's name? What
Josh Johnson.
Josh Johnson. I was listening to him the other day, and he said if you have to explain something to people these days in a pie chart, don't. So, but I know that the word ARPA is going to start filtering into the news as far as the American Rescue Plan, okay, and those monies coming back, being clawed back. So you're saying that we will not have to repay any of those funds?
We will not, because we follow the rules, because part of it can be used to supplement costs that the city was. So, for example, the cost to run the city, we may not have been able to meet those because businesses were shut down,
Right.
sales tax was reduced. The cost of doing business in the city was, astronomical during that time, and so we we were within the rules to put that money in the fund balance. So that money is sitting in the fund balance of the city of Syracuse. So it is calculated as allocated,
Okay.
not
So
just not unallocated.
good. Okay. So just
Yes,
so you know, George, American Rescue Plan Act
act.
Thank you.
of 2021.
That
Okay.
Right.
said, knock on wood, you never know what this president will try.
Nah, I know. Vicki, I don't want to miss this opportunity. And your leadership thing, no, I'm not going to ask a question, but I want
Okay.
to
All
make
right.
sure you included the new superintendent of schools,
Yes.
Yes,
Pamela
Yes.
Odom. Just,
I'm looking
Oh,
forward
that's
to
true.
meeting.
Okay, when I went through the new leadership,
right,
I
right,
did
right.
miss.
And we didn't do
My
that.
apology to the
So
superintendent.
one more thing for you all to add to your roll call, Vicki, is that we are going to go to the next tranche of the Joint Schools Modernization Project, $400 million. The
Wow.
chairs of that body are the mayor and the superintendent.
How about that?
Oh,
Okay.
oh, all right. Okay, all right.
See, so Vicki, that
In
was a
fact,
very
I think we
useful
probably need,
interjection.
yeah, we need to get with your communications director, and we need to sit down and make sure we have all the buttons on the roll call as far as the secret sauce, the Syracuse secret sauce. Because when George and I, we were sitting down just listing that one night, and um, um Mayor-elect, we went like, oh, 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 okay. God's
Right.
been busy.
He
Busy.
has.
Okay.
Yes,
And
he has.
here's the thing. I want everybody, because I was also looking at, kind of go back, dovetail to what we were talking about as far as the victory party last night. The rainbow of your room
Mm,
is
Yes.
it's stunning.
Yes.
that
Not
room.
only a rainbow of color, but a rainbow of political affiliation. First person I ran into that hugged me, bear hugged me, was the DA,
Mm.
Fitzpatrick.
Fitzpatrick, who I have a really good relationship with.
Okay.
Yep, just
Some things
amazing.
that happened, I said to George 3 or 4 times. He said, Vicki, you said the same thing. I said, I just want to be sure I was awake and not dreaming.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, because I didn't see the DA last night, but I mean the
Yeah, he
rainbow
came
of
there.
that
He came
room.
early and then he had to go,
Okay,
but
okay,
he
the
he
rainbow
stopped
of that
through.
room was amazing, and the joy that
The
everybody,
joy.
it wasn't fake.
Mm-mm.
It wasn't the
No,
perfunctory. I have to
no.
do this because it's politically expedient. There
And
was
and
true
Vicky, the thing
joy.
about when I came out, and George, you mentioned I came out, and the news earlier today, the news was like, we were wondering if you were going to dance through the whole song. I said no, but when you get a groove, it's hard to stop. And
Right.
so but coming out just to that is, I hope people are ready for the authentic Sharon, because that's who that was on stage.
Yeah.
It was, people are like, what do you want to come out on? And, people were sending me this and sending me that. And I was like, no, no. And then I was like, what? Ain't no stopping us now.
Exactly.
So now that you done brought it up, and the call and response with right, okay, the call and response, and
the DJ knew when to take the note.
Right, and the people in the audience, to your point, Vicki, about the rainbow, everybody shouting the words back. We leaving negative people way behind.
It was amazing.
So I just want to know, when did you take the time to teach Senator May how to do the wobble?
She comes to enough functions to learn. Let me tell you something about that woman. I shouted her out.
Yeah.
She was the first person to come out for me. She was unapologetic. I had not gotten a nomination. She did not care from the Democratic Party. That woman, her and Al Sturpey, day one. And the Working Family Party, day one.
Yes. Okay.
Day one.
Absolutely. Well, before we close, is there anything in particular, a closing message that you'd like to leave with us?
Please remember, I'm human. I'm going to lead with my heart because I don't know any other way to do it. I'm going to make decisions always with the best interest of the city of Syracuse. I may have some missteps. I ask for you to show me grace, but hold me accountable. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Well, Deputy Mayor and now Mayor-elect Sharon Owens from Geneva, New York, back in 1981. As an 18-year-old freshman, you came to Syracuse University, completed your track and field dream, headed off to the Olympic trials, took care of Dunbar Center, Peace, and Jubilee Homes, and now we'll be taking care of the city of Syracuse. We thank you for the time that you spent with us this evening and today, and we say to everyone, our plate is full. Oh, and George.
Yes.
February 22nd.
Okay, let's go.
February 22nd, 2026 is going to be the 18th annual Black History Month Jazz and Arts Cabaret event, and we know who's going to be there on stage with us celebrating the 18th year Deputy Mayor Owens, who will
I got to make sure I wrote that down. I got to stay away from that date because we got to have the Mayor's Ball in February, Black History Month.
Okay.
All right, then we can go from night to night if you want to, Saturday and Sunday. Okay? Sunday afternoon. All right, then perfect. All right, again, George, I'll say our plate is full. Okay.
All right, Vicki Brackens, do you want to tell us a little bit about how they can get hold of you?
I always forget I forget this, okay? You can reach us at area code 315-930-4499 or at info@brackensfsn.com. And I will say this, I'm spending a lot of time, George, and Mayor-elect, on studying the impact of AI. Because along with what's happening with our manufacturing changes, AI is coming right behind it. And so stay tuned because we have some deep conversations. But if you want to have conversations ahead of time on what's happening with your finances, since we're at the end of the year and it's tax season and we need to wrap all those things up, get your financial plans in order, you can reach me at info@Brackens, BRACKENS, FSN.com here in Syracuse, or 315-930-4499. Now, George.
Yes. Your plate is what?
My plate is full.
All right. And before we do that, I just want to give a quick shout out to the class of 1985. Sharon in a group chat is cheering you on. Ben Green and all of those guys. So just want to say that.
Wow.
They're cheering you on because they texted me. Well, what's the verdict? What's the verdict? So I'm telling them about New York. I don't care about New York. I want to know what's happening.
That's exactly what I told you. I don't care about the New York City. We want
That's music to my ears that Syracuse, always seem to be pulling up the rear. Buffalo, Rochester, New York. No. That time is over.
We're in the number. We're in the number. All right. With that being said, Vicki Brackens is the president of Brackens Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and a registered representative. That was the wrong button. All right. So this is live insert this and go over here. Now do that again. Here we go. Vicki Brackens is the president of Brackens Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and the registered representative of LPL Financial member SIPC. She is America's money maven with our special guest tonight, Mayor-elect Sharon Owens, the first African-American mayor in the history of the city of Syracuse.
Thank you.